fourth episode, I think.
Yeah.
Unless we start cutting. No.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna start like we kind of usually do, just a quick update on how things are going, especially with regards to the books and everything. So for me, just slightly continue with the Noah Kagan book. So I'm an hour and a half in. Keep in mind this is one day after the previous episode, so not a lot of time has gone by.
Yeah.
So that's why not too much has happened. I mostly the topic that I remember the most about the Noah Kagan book is what was it again? I think I've completely forgotten about it.
Let's say the ideas, listing the ideas, Miss Father, $1 million market value or not. Did you come till that part?
Now I remember. It was ways of seeing if your idea is sound, like the ways that you check that your idea is good. And that's simply by messaging a customer. I think he preferred it if it was this person you didn't know, but it could also be a person that you do know. Either way, you just kind of message the customer and then you ask them about the thing that you're going to sell to strangers to at some point. But you kind of ask them if they would be interested in doing that directly before you start any company and you start like...
Yeah, it's like in a way trying to find out if people will be willing to pay or
Exactly.
is this even a problem. That's what I like from my startup experience. What I understand is, first of all, solve a problem. You don't solve something, you don't create a problem and start telling them how to solve them. Rather see what is the problem and then try to solve. Money will be coming as a side effect directly.
Yeah.
We don't have to freaking die to sell every single customer, you know. It will automatically happen.
Yeah, so the example he gave was like a dog walking app was the example he gave, in which case instead of trying to develop the app, spend a lot of money on like advertising.
That was an awesome example. Yeah.
And like try to set everything up, spend a lot of money on like artwork and also designing and coding, which you either have to learn or outsource, both of which take time and are expensive. And only to realize that most people don't have a problem with walking their dogs. Instead, you could save yourself all that effort by just simply messaging people that you know or not. It doesn't really matter. Most people will respond anyway if it's like locally. If they would like to have their dogs walked for a small fee, is that okay? And if they say, no, I don't really have a problem with that. And the examples he gave was like, I don't really have a problem with walking my dog, but I do have a problem with when I travel.
That's awesome though.
Yeah.
It's like you just realize that your business is not dog walking but dog sitting.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
So not only did you realize that your idea was, first of all, not feasible, because most people don't want it, but you also figured out what the real problem was by talking to
customers, potential customers, people in general.
Yeah. So that's the one thing that I got to so far that I remember that was useful. So that was quite good.
Yeah. Very, very useful book though. A lot of information as we discussed about it briefly.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's a lot of information that it's saturating at some point. If you listen to it for half an hour, you just feel like, oh my god, 100 things are said in that just half an hour. So I just could not move further, you know. I just did listen for like 15 minutes of that, and that's it. I couldn't go any further actually. So yeah.
Yeah, because that's also another problem. When you listen to an audiobook, it goes very quickly and you don't really stop it because mostly you're doing other stuff as well. So you might get overwhelmed and you might not remember as much.
Yeah.
And especially if you listen to the whole book in one sitting, you're not going to remember everything, which is natural. So don't expect it either. Again, you can just listen to it again. So
you can re-listen it. Always rewind it if you think you missed something. So slowly you are forcing your brain to focus while you're doing other stuff like cleaning vessels or cooking or commuting or whatever, you know. You'll slowly try to focus on what is important, you know. A surprising thing is I almost stopped listening to songs at all completely.
Yeah.
Like completely stopped, and it's just always some podcast or some books actually. I don't know, it's for the better or worse, but I think it's for the better though. Like, oh,
Yeah, it might be for the better because I mean it makes you less like hyped.
yeah, for nothing, you know. Even though it's a normal day, I don't have to be hyped or feeling sad. I sometimes get depressed listening to songs, you know. Even though the songs that I liked is for some reason, maybe because I listen to it forever. I don't know. I'm
Oh,
getting
okay,
tired
for
of
too
it.
long.
Yeah. So, but podcasts and these things are keeping it fresh. It's like every time listening to a new song or something that I always end up liking something like that.
Yeah, and you listen more to podcasts when you work out, right?
Yeah.
Or do you listen to anything?
I mean, like, it depends actually. When I do cardio, I listen. When I do the martial arts thing, I remove the earphones completely.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just the sound of the punching bag at this point. So.
I mean, yeah, for some.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
I mean, most people who do martial arts, they ask us to remove everything. Mostly rings, earrings, earphones, nothing.
Watches.
You cannot have anything in your hand. You just fight.
Yeah. So you focus on one thing.
Yeah.
So that's probably a good idea.
And also you will injure your opponent, you know, how many people's
and yourself.
Earrings, yeah, and then you do a head kick,
oh god.
freaking you, or the earrings puncture you, and then the earrings open the hole,
and
slit
rip.
open.
Oh god.
Yeah, that happens a lot. And then the people with the rings, you know, especially grab you or something, they grab a piece of tissue and skin with.
And just rip it with them. Oh god.
Oh god, man. And also people sometimes land on it and then they crush your finger. They land on the metal ring and then it crushes your finger.
Yeah, because it's like a armor.
Rips your skin off, you know, like so many injuries happen, yeah.
Yeah, like a degloving. Do you know what
that is?
Yeah,
exactly, yeah, that's the one, yeah.
God. Yeah, martial arts. I don't know. I probably will never do martial arts because I'll just shatter, I think, if I do that. Much like you have.
Yeah, everything in my body is broken at this point.
At the age of this. The second topic, we can probably talk about that at some other point. All the injuries you've sustained during...
It's a sad story for some other day.
But the topic we thought about today was mostly about sleep, and the reason we thought about sleep is because, as you might be able to tell, we're both kind of sleepy.
Yeah, I'm already tired. Just 1 week of university and I'm already...
Not even a week, 2 days.
Yeah, okay, 2 days, yeah. Just so much work, man, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the things that we do to sustain sleep, even though we're not great at sleeping. We know what we need to do, but we're not great at it. And also the problems that most people meet when they try to sleep properly, because I notice most people have a problem with sleeping. That's the kind of things that we wanted to kind of quickly go into, I guess, in this topic, because we're not planning on talking for too long, hopefully.
Yeah, and end up sleeping live in the podcast, yeah.
So we'll probably get into that. So what do you do for sleep mostly to make it better? Because that's where most people go wrong.
To make it better, one thing I try to do is to make sure that I'm exhausted and tired. Simple as that.
Yeah, actually tired.
If I did not go to a gym or something continuously for a few days, I have a lot of energy to kill, you know, and I couldn't sleep well, and that's when the binge watching starts, and then never sleeping, all wasting time and shit in front of the computer all the time. So that's one thing. And also turning on the night light is one thing I do. I reduce brightness in all my devices. That's something I do like 24 hours into 7 basically.
And by night lights, you know, you don't mean plugging in the wall and having the night light because you're scared of the dark.
Like a blue light filter
Exactly.
or red light setting in your PCs, mobile, every electronic device these days has it. So yeah, it filters basically the blue-green wavelength of light, which is basically the cool light, into a warmer setting. It looks more pale, orangish yellow. That is softer for your eyes, and also it's not straining your eyes, so that when you finish your work, which is mostly in PC, at least for me, or most of us,
most
and
of
then
us
when you go to bed, it is won't keep you up. The melatonin secretes at the right time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't mess you up, so you just sit restless in your bed. So I think that's a good idea to have red light. It works nicely, and why not? It's not any like downside. It's a slight color change to everything that you look at on your screen, so that's something. So that's something I also use a lot on every device, especially nowadays. Now that everything is on a device, studying, work, socializing, everything
is digital.
Yeah. So yeah, having a red light is a good idea. And the thing that you do is, which is more unique than most, is that you have it on all the time.
Yeah.
You don't just have it on.
Yeah, the
2
reason
hours
is because
before
I
bed.
do the programming as a software engineer and study everything in the PC, so I see more of the computer screen than most people.
Yeah.
So I'm also like decades of eye damage of just using computers. So
Yeah, you used to have glasses, but you just don't wear them anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of eye damage. So that's the reason you do it. But I would probably advise to also do that. Just have it on all the time.
And then take the multivitamins, take omega-3, and also take something for my eyes, lutein and zeaxanthin. So these are some of the supplements that I take personally. You guys can check it out, lutein and zeaxanthin online. There are so many articles and research studies of proving that they improve your vision and stuff. So yeah, I do those things to protect my eyes to some extent though.
Yeah.
But still, it's already very bad, honestly speaking. But yeah.
Yeah, it's not improving for the both of us.
Yeah, you can just preserve what is left. That's what you can do.
It might be dying slightly, but keep what you can. But so that's one thing you do, red light, and also your watch, I think.
Yeah, I got a Fitbit. Yeah, that's the main thing I should have spoken.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is like I got this Fitbit basically to measure my sleep. I really like to see how much deep sleep I get. Like just sleeping in the bed and waking up in the morning doesn't mean that you got a good night of sleep. Did you really sleep well or not? I really wanted to know. So that I wanted to measure my REM sleep, light sleep and deep sleep durations and what is the baseline for people of our age group, and then where do I stand? Am I getting enough deep sleep, or if not, how can I improve? Maybe by diet, due to stress, or what is the reason? I wanted to like try to go deeper into that and understand my reason for good or bad sleep.
So you can see, in case there's some days where you have like 1 hour of actual good sleep, right?
Yeah, I mean, like the deep sleep is sometimes so sad, it's like 10 minutes of deep sleep in 7 hours of sleeping.
Just
like,
did
oh my
nothing.
God. It's probably stress or something, or some kind of a problem that's running in your mind, and other things, maybe sleeping late night, changing your sleep cycle, that's also something.
Yeah, or maybe drinking too much water before going to bed or something.
Could be,
so
or alcohol, or partying, or junk food.
That will definitely do. Don't eat sugar before bed, because at least for me, I just can't sleep if I do that.
Yeah.
It sounds very childish to say don't eat sweets before bed. It feels like I'm 5 years old, but in my experience, it doesn't help.
And also eating food before sleeping is also not advisable, because everything slows down, right? Your metabolism, everything slows down when you go to sleep, for the body to go to sleep. If you end up eating a lot of stuff and then you want to go to sleep, like that's when indigestion, acid reflux, everything starts. So it's better to eat a long time before going to bed, like I would say like 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah, I keep it 2 hours. I typically eat at the last meal is at 7 if I go to bed at 10.
Yeah, but is it always the case? No, I sometimes have to eat at like freaking 12 and then sleep at 12:30 because I have to wake up the other day. So trying as much as I can,
Yeah, trying as much. For the most part, you manage to hit the goal, but sometimes,
Yeah, and also the sleep duration.
Sleep duration. Yes, that's important. Okay, so that's a big problem that I think most students get wrong when it comes to studying. Because if you think, most people when they go to school, and especially when they continue into college, they'll think that, okay, I sleep 4 or 5 hours, so I can get 3 maybe 5 more hours to just study. And the more I study, the more I learn. But in actuality, I mean, I've been at both sides of the spectrum, right? I started with sleeping 4-3 hours. I've never pulled an all-nighter, but I always thought like sleeping 5 hours was okay, so I could have more time to study. That was the initial years, the first and second year. But then the more I realized how tired I was,
it's actually very counterintuitive that you will not be able to study when you're tired, you know.
Yeah, even though you have more time to study, it will be less efficient. And you'll also make more mistakes, because when you're tired, you make mistakes.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. That's when you take wrong decisions a lot of time, you know.
That's when you kind of slack off on the studying and you don't actually focus on the work. So to anyone that's studying early, like early in their study course, like college, and thinking that that doing 4 or 5 hours is enough and okay, I'm just gonna say that probably don't do that anymore. It's better for you to sleep 8. I mean, some recommend 9, but there are 8 to 9 hours is the recommended. But I haven't found the time to do 9 hours. So for me, it's 8 hours, and very importantly, 20 minutes. I'll get to why that is later. But the thing I want to cover now is just because when you sleep 8 hours, you have a lot more consciousness to use on the task that you're going to use. So you don't have to study as long, and it will stick a lot better. So you'll have to study less overall. So even though before you were studying a whole lot more and feeling like you got things done, when you sleep 8 hours, which I've been doing even in the exam period, I sleep 8 hours and 20 minutes. It's never been a day where I don't do that. It sticks a lot better. So just the efficiency goes up. So
for me, very similar thing. I do like 7 to 8 hours. 7.5 hours is like my ideal thing, at least for me. I just could not sleep more. That's the problem. I am unable to sleep more. Maybe this room, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
For some reason, I end up waking up after 6.5 hours or 7.5 hours or 7 hours. Sometimes I just could not go to bed, you know. That's one issue. And also the days when I could not sleep well, let's say I slept like 3 to 4 hours, I could clearly see the next day productivity falls so bad, especially during exam times, you know. You don't read the questions well, you end up understanding the question wrongly, answering wrongly, directly because I did not sleep well.
Yeah.
Even though I know everything, you see, like it's so dumb, like, you know.
Yeah, it's a stupid way to lose points in a test, I think, if you just don't study. So no, don't sleep. Sorry. So even though you got less content in your head before a test, I think it's always good to sleep.
Yeah.
Regardless, it might seem like a good idea to do an all-nighter, but everything seems like a good idea when you're super tired.
And also napping is something I would also recommend, unless it's not bothering your night sleep.
Yeah, I looked into how close to bedtime you should nap, and generally speaking, if like the safe zone is anywhere before 10 hours before you go to bed. So as long as it's before 10 hours you go to bed, then it won't interfere with your sleep, as long as it isn't over an hour. So you sleep for an hour before, as long as it isn't 10 hours before you go to bed, and then it should be fine. Of course, I haven't always done that, but now that I sleep 8 hours, I haven't really needed to nap either.
Yeah, I mean, that's also true.
Yeah.
For me, sometimes after lunchtime I feel sleepy. So
naturally.
Sometimes maybe even after the breakfast, and then I'm studying for a couple of hours, and then it's just annoying. I just feel so tired. And
a little technique that I started with somewhat was when you've eaten, you always will be tired. There's very few ways that you will avoid that. Either you eat less, which requires more discipline than you think. Or you have to eat. I think there's a lot of certain proteins. Like if you just eat a lot of protein heavy meal, it should also be a little bit better when it comes to sleep. A lot less carbohydrates in that way.
Yeah, because the reason is like body is spending a lot of energy in burning the catabolism, basically trying to metabolize the food.
Yeah.
So all the energy goes there and you start feeling tired and your brain is not working anymore because there's not enough energy for the brain.
Yeah, so the energy goes away from the brain. And the way that you can kind of still do something if you really have to is to do revision standing, is what I've found out. Because like when you revise things or like just do simple flashcards, which you should be doing digitally, not on paper, by the way, if you're doing flashcards.
Why is that?
Because if you use something like Anki, which I recommend, it's free on Android and it costs $24 on on Apple iPhone. The only reason you should be doing flashcards on your online or digitally and not with paper is because it takes a long time to stock everything. So you're spending 40 minutes finding the card you wanted to revise on, whilst with Anki, which is a flashcard app, ANKI, then you can then that will just sort everything based on your proficiency in whatever material you're learning. So it will sort everything for you and you can just look through it as you want. And I recommend doing that when you're kind of either distracted, like on a tram or something, or waiting in queue, or when you've eaten a lot and you don't have a lot of energy. It's also quite good to do revision because it doesn't require as much as learning something new, if that makes sense. So that's just something that could be a tip that has at least helped me somewhat. Or you could just
take a nap.
Take a nap or relax afterwards. Whatever, as long as it doesn't stress you out.
Yeah, make sure like you are at least somewhat mentally fine with it, you know. If you are just miserable, probably nothing is going to go inside the head. So
yeah, if you have to take breaks somewhat.
Yeah,
just not too long, because then you just take breaks for the entire day, and then you hate yourself even more.
Yeah.
Oh God. So napping. You've covered, and then also about the time. And the reason I choose 8 hours and 20 minutes is because something to do with the amount of time it takes to fall asleep. Generally speaking, most people fall asleep if they've got an okay sleep pattern within 15 minutes. So 15 minutes is the average time that it takes to fall asleep, at least that I could find. So the reason I put it to 20 is because I don't want to put a hard line on in 15 minutes I have to be in bed, or else I'll take away the 8 hours of sleep. So I want to be asleep before the 8 hours starts.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. Like a good buffer.
Yeah. So you have a buffer zone to fall asleep. So that is included in your falling asleep protocol, if you can call it that. So you have
Andrew Huberman. It's a protocol.
Everything is a protocol with that, man. So you have 5 minutes on top of the average amount of time just to settle in and do whatever, get in a good position to fall asleep. Sometimes you have to extend it, and I think if you're struggling with falling asleep and you feel like you have a lot of energy when you are trying to fall asleep, because that's something my brother struggled with a lot at some point. I recommend going to bed at the same time every day, even though it might be harder than you think. Because if you manage to go to bed and sleep 8 hours genuinely, you go to bed at the same time every day and you sleep 8 hours genuinely, you won't have problems with your sleep.
Yeah.
You see? For the most part, unless you have some disorder.
Yeah.
And that could also happen, right?
And also you could be like 20-year-old who wants to party, which we understand.
We understand that.
And we respect it.
We respect it, but we do not attend it.
Because medical school is filled with sacrifices.
Yeah, and we don't want to sacrifice on that.
Yeah.
So generally, going to bed at at a consistent time. Another thing that people really, really struggle with is going to bed at the same time. Waking up is not that difficult, right? It's just setting an alarm, right?
Yeah. Or you have fucking class to go to. So.
Yeah, you have to wake up at some point. But the thing I know my brother struggled with was just being on the phone when going to bed. So you're just on your phone for an hour and a half after you've gone to bed. So you maybe lose, you just sleep 6.5 hours instead.
Yeah.
So a way that you can kind of do that is a purging method in a way. If you can't hit it, if you can't like manage to have enough discipline to put yourself to sleep when you're supposed to, the way that you can kind of still force it is by having the same wake up time. So eventually you'll be stretching it so much that you'll be too tired not to go to bed at this appropriate time. So that's a way you can definitely force it. So those are just some tips that I told my brother, and now he sleeps nicely. So it did help him. I don't know how. I know he used the specific time to go to bed, and also he took away his phone, and that seemed to be solving his problem anyway.
In my case, like I'm so tired of seeing screens that I don't want to see screen before sleeping.
Yeah,
what I do is like I put podcasts or audiobooks for half an hour or 15 minutes based on how tired I am. If I'm very, very tired, I know I will sleep in 15 minutes or something. I just put it for 15 minutes and then put maybe a podcast, maybe it's not an important audiobook, something that I don't really care that much.
You just
maybe
want
a comedy
noise.
one, somebody talking, so that also something that I really don't want to focus on, too much hard focus on. Then you are keeping yourself awake all the time forcefully. That's very counterintuitive, like counterproductive. Why would you do that when you wanted to go to sleep?
Yeah.
So I put something where it's somewhat light-hearted jokes or comedy related stuff, which is also fine if I don't fully listen like 100%, So that's like my way of going to bed.
Yeah, for me, I just put on any kind of noise that I'm not interested in. It could be just some storm noise or any video over an hour that isn't like any like say political or specifically interesting.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to focus on the noise. You just want to have noise, because another thing I know people struggle with is what they think about when they go to bed. So that's a way that you can counter that, is having something in the background that lasts a little bit longer, that can steal the part of your brain that would otherwise distract you and keep you awake.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually, I did not think about that actually. I freaking think about the next day misery, all the freaking labs and exams, all the annoying things that I have to do in work and stuff. So that's probably I'm bypassing all of those things by listening to some
accidentally.
Yeah.
But hey, it works, right?
Yeah. I go to bed happily.
Yeah. It works nicely. So those are the things that I can think of off the top of my head that we do. Also,
it's literally putting me to sleep immediately.
And also the thing that we both do, block your eyes from sunlight.
Oh yeah.
So you can wake up a little bit when you want to.
Yeah, that's something really a big deal actually. I can show you.
It's a huge
deal.
So
I spent a lot of money in getting a memory foam eye mask actually. It's like a really good one though. It lasts for a while and make sure you have an adjusting strap. So then I just put it and then I sleep. So in the summer, winter, whenever the sun comes, it comes, but it doesn't wake me up. There's no leakage of light through the nose as well. So it's the best thing ever in the flight, in home, wherever I travel to, wherever I'm gonna sleep. This is my must have.
Yeah. And I realized the same thing, because if you don't have anything to block the light, you'll eventually be awoken by the sunrise or anything like that. Unless you have something to block the light, like a curtain that's completely shutting it out. I used to have the mask, but I lost it. So now I have...
Was it working, the one we got?
It works if you... What I did, I put the thing I have on the neck?
Yeah.
I put that as well. So
okay,
two things.
I understand. So the leakage, it's like properly seals it,
So now I'm just improvising temporarily until I can bother myself into getting an actual mask, which is to just use a shirt. It works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just use a shirt for now to block the light.
Yeah, but I highly recommend this one though. It's a very high quality. I mean, it's a little bit expensive though. It was like 80 slotty. The one that I previously had was like 20 slotty, okay? But the adjusting thing is so bad, it just removes itself. So basically, it's not serving its purpose.
Yeah.
So this is tight enough and it's long lasting enough. I feel like I might need to buy a backup for it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Just to have multiple versions of it or something. So just to. I really love this specific one, and so yeah.
Mine cost 4 zloty, which would be how many euro?
One, almost 80 cents.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
they range a lot.
Yeah.
But mine was terrible. I had to cut it with a scissor to make the strap long enough, and then I had to tie it off to
Oh
fix.
my god,
fit
that's
my
why
head.
it's better to see in these things. That's what I realized is buy once, buy a good one, and never worry about it.
Yeah. That's probably a good
Because I
idea.
started buying the cheap ones, then I realized, oh god, it's not doing. It's annoying, you know. Even when I'm going to sleep, if it is very light is leaking still, I don't know. It's so annoying.
Yeah, it can be distracting.
Especially when you have a roommates. Before I used to have a roommate
Oh my
who
god.
doesn't sleep, who always runs his laptop with a blue light, full brightness, and it wakes you up. You cannot sleep at all. That time, this was my lifesaver.
Yeah, and you also used to have noise because you had the best roommates.
Yeah.
That's another thing to talk about for another time.
Yeah, these are all things that we have to. Okay, what are things? Roommates, injuries, gym injuries, all those things.
Yeah, because I don't think it's too. I don't think it's too incriminating.
Yeah.
They know who they are, but we won't reveal who they are, so it's fine.
Yeah.
They only have to live with their own guilt.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like most college students are like that, right? Who sleeps early? Nobody.
I realize that's very few people actually.
Yeah. It's probably you and somebody who's sick.
Yeah, someone's just recovering. But yeah, I recommend sleeping, waking up early. I mean, it will probably change how you do a lot of stuff. I would definitely say. So that's mostly what we have.
Yeah, let's change the topic before I sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've also talked for 32 minutes. Wow.
Yeah. I guess that seems okay.
Do you want to continue or do you want to...
I mean, we can close it here, I guess, and then we can continue again. Yeah.
We can continue some other time. Because, yeah, we're both...
very tired and exhausted.
Yeah, it's 8 p.m., which for most people, I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot.
It's party time.
Yeah.
They are getting ready to leave the home.
Yeah. But for us, it's almost bedtime.
Yeah. Just
Gotta go.
Yeah.
Gotta go nap. So we'll be seeing you some other time. See ya.